I've been sitting for at least an hour to getting this video started because unfortunately YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and other well-known platforms has become the enemy of the people. And we all know what happened last year, what took place. But what took place last year is nothing but a part of the communist takeover of the entire planet. And this is one of them. So let's go to the other slide here. And talking about communism, China established gun control in 1935. And what is it we here in America is talking about? Oh, the Democrats, the communists are talking about. That is to get our guns. So from 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. I'm just telling you people, if you don't pay attention now, you might as well go hang yourself, because they're going to kill you. Or are you at least going to stand on your both 2 feet and put up a fight against this communist takeover? Because that's what it is. Call it fascism, call it communism, it doesn't matter. It's the same coin. It all leads to tyranny. Oh no, it is not communism, it's socialism. Well, which I've said many times, and I'm saying it again because it apparently needs to be repeated. I hate repeating myself, but in this situation, I would say repetition of these things is mandatory, is necessary, and we can't stand down from that. The difference between socialism and communism is socialism is dictatorship by vote. That's what we have right now in this country. We have so-called socialists running a lot of states, and we have a socialist, so-called socialist, sitting in the White House and his establishment. But socialism is dictatorship by vote. Then we have the other scale, and that is communism. That is dictatorship, tyranny at the barrel of a gun, as you see here in this image. This is a real image. This guy's dead by that revolver there. That's what they did to people. And that shit is coming here if you don't stand up and become the 99% over the 1%. But let me go here. Aldous Huxley from Berkeley, CA. This is in 1962. There will be in the next generation or so a pharmaceutical method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak. Producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people in fact will have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it. Is that something we are seeing in this country right now? It seems like people like to live in these blue states and just enjoying being pissed on, literally. Because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda and brainwashing. Where do we see that? Movies, news media, Google, YouTube. Or brainwashing enhanced by pharmaceutical methods. Does that ring a bell? Is that going on right now? And this seems to be the final revolution. Exactly, the communist revolution. There you got it. These people are psychopaths. No more, no less. Psychopaths. And not we, a lot of you out there call them leaders, and you look up to them. And you don't realize that in reality they're pissing down your throat. And you have your mouth wide open, receiving. You might as well go hang yourself. Because they're going to kill you anyway. They don't care if you voted for them. They don't care. Their end goal is 500 million people worldwide. And I can assure you, amongst those 500 million people that they only want to be on this planet, that's not Americans. And I'm talking to you, black people in America, white people in America, Asian people in America, who's born and raised here. There will be an America with no Americans in it. If these 99% is not standing up to the 1%, it's game over. I'm serious. Jesus said that the world shall suffer affliction, such as has never done before and shall never again. That's what we're facing. We're facing a communist takeover, and you don't see it. And I'm speaking to you who's still asleep. The rest of you, you don't even have to watch this video. You can just give it a thumbs up and share it with people that you know is blind as bats. This is what it is. And zoom him out again. Go to the next slide. Oh, this has got nothing to do with, well, it does in a way. You see, we have been lied to for ages. And it is like this, that these so-called leaders, when their lips move, they lie. Such as is said in the scriptures, when his lips move, meaning the devil, also called Satan, when his lips move, he lie. Here we got the evidence from Glen Rose, Texas, that dinosaurs and mankind lived together. So it should be in this limestone here, which is past the Noah's flood. Because before the flood of Noah, limestone did not exist. The entire firmament of the planet was granite. This is a footprint of a dinosaur and a human in the same rock formation, limestone, in a riverbed. How about that? So, if you should believe, trust science, as they say, mankind was here 65 million years ago. But let me tell you one thing. Let's just say that hypothetically. There will be no trace, no evidence of anything 65 million years ago, because this planet is undergoing transformation at all times. So the evidence 65 million years ago has already been grinded up, washed out, sunken in, and become part of the magma and recycled through volcanoes. There would be nothing left of it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Noah's flood was 6,500 years ago. And at that point in time, dinosaurs living next to men, and dinosaurs were not carnivores. They were plant eaters. Chiefs from Tyrannosaurus rex, don't know why the hell they give it that name, because there was nothing tyrannical about it. It was a vegetarian. The chief shows that. He got serration on the teeth. on the edges of its teeth. Why does it have that? Because it uses that serration to scrape off the leaves of the branches to eat. And it's funny. Tyrannosaurus rex are supposedly a carnivore chasing down their victims or their prey with arms. What arms? It barely has any arms. What is it going to hold on to when it catches its prey? Only with the mouth? It has to hold on to its prey, just like a lion. Sink its claws into its prey while it is biting around its neck to suffocate its prey, crushing its throat or neck. Tyrannosaurus was not able to do that. And then we have the Velociraptor. You know what that nail, that long poke nail, was used for? It was used to scrape off the dirt. So they, with their long beak or long mouth, could catch what was living in the ground. I mean, come on. Enough of that. You've been lied to. And again, while Black Lives Matters and Antifa is running around burning and looting, this guy, this communist bastard, is unharmed. Not even a shred of graffiti. Nothing. I guarantee you they've been told, you don't touch this thing. Because this is the symbol of what we are about to establish in the United States. Next front. And this is, yeah, who do you think that is? Baphomet. There was a battle between Detroit and Oklahoma City about who was to have this statue of this filthy creep. Oklahoma got it, not Detroit. Would have been more suitable, but I was surprised that Oklahoma got it. And children are supposed to look up to this beast, this demigod. That's the world we're living in. And communism is an adamant hatred of God Almighty, our Father in heaven, our Creator, who loves you, loves everyone, even the evil ones he loves. You just wish they changed their ways. If they don't want to, well, their days are numbered because they've been found wanting. That's how it goes with all these power-hungry people. Eventually God is going to chastise them, even put them to death. Look at Belshazzar, the heir after Nebuchadnezzar, took the vessels of the most holy and drank wine for them and worshipped all the deities. And in the same night, the Medo-Persians took over Babylon and killed Belshazzar. And the handwriting on that wall, Daniel interpreted, was that he was been found wanting. And he has taken up the vessels and drank wine from them and worshipped all the deities and not praised God Almighty. So Belshazzar died that night by the sword from the Medo-Persians. That's how it goes for evil people. Eventually they're gonna be erased. But this time, God has to intervene, or else there'll be no one left of us. This is how bad it's going to be, people. Sad to say, but just how it is. We are not in a pretty place. And these are not in a pretty place either. This is the spaceship in New York City. This giant UFO of these so-called world leaders, which are all communists. Every single one of them. Or socialists. Whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all in the same bloody program. And who is standing here? Yeah. Jeez. Mr. Poopy Pants. Yeah. This is the march of the communists. Funny, this color is the same as the socialists or the Democrats. Blue. And this is their goal, to take the whole world. And he was part of it. He's still part of it. Did you know this guy got his own private army to protect him? This filthy bastard. This communist. Once upon a time, the FBI fought organized crime. Then FBI became the organized crime. FBI today, I would not call FBI. I would call them KGB, because that's what they've become. Because of him. He turned these people around to become the enemy of state, the enemy of the people. FBI should be abolished. CIA should be abolished, taken away. No funding anymore. That's my opinion. They're traitors. And that leads me to this, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of their ends, of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principle and organization its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. We are at that point now, that is necessary. So, what you're seeing now, or in the past, because it hasn't gone away, right? We had the beer bug, but before that, we already had to talk about this so-called climate change, which I just laugh at because it's ridiculous. Because I know it's not true. It never will be true. I have a major, not a PhD, but I have a major from a college in biology. And my interest back then, that was our ecological system. I find that fascinating. And I know for a fact that CO2 is a greenhouse gas. It is. But it's not a greenhouse gas as they would like us to believe it is. On the contrary. You see, you know what CO2 is really good at doing? It is really good at accumulating or assimilate or obtain heat coming from outside. That's what it's really good at. And it's transforming this heat into energy that we can actually harness. Tesla knew that. And he died penniless in a hotel because no one would make money on his inventions. He was actually looking at a society that was self-sufficient and was sustainable without cost. other than making the device, providing the energy, the electricity to run the system. And that system would have been forever. You will only need to buy a Tesla coil once, and it would provide all the electricity, all the energy you could possibly dream of for your household, and for free, and forever. He knew that. That man was a genius. He knew what this was about. But, Rockefeller, Wagner, they could not really go along with that because they had to make money. It's all about money, right? Money is the root of all evil. So Tesla's ideas never saw the light of day, other than the blueprints. And lots of it has been lost to American authorities, organizations, and to Russians. And some of them, they have decided to turn into weapons, of course. That's what that kind of people do. It's all about killing. It's not about preserving, it's about killing. So it leads me back to this again with the CO2. They say we're the problem. When they talk about carbon footprint, they're talking about you. And what is it they're saying? We need to bring down our carbon footprint to basically zero. What does that mean? Well, that's self-explanatory. That means you have to die because you are carbon footprint. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out CO2. Therefore, you carbon footprint. And according to Bill Gates, psychopath, what's his name, Al Gore, and many others, John Kerry, not Jim Carrey. He was on Epstein's Island, just so you know. These people, they want you dead. They want the population down to 500 million so they're manageable. And it will be 500 million people without any Caucasians. Because, as history has proven, Caucasians causes problems. They ask questions. They don't just bow down. Where on the Asian front, they're used to tyranny. They have had thousands of years of ruthless leaders. They're used to being pissed upon, and they are easier to manage, and they will just consent to their so-called leaders much easier than Caucasian. And unfortunately, this is gonna probably set some of you out there. There will be no black people living on this planet. They're going to kill all of you. In Africa, wherever you're found, they will kill you. Don't know why, but because some bizarre, insane level, they consider you, and I'm serious, they consider you as almost at the level of an animal. That sounds harsh, but that's how they think. But they themselves are white people, but they only want Asians as their slaves. And 500 million Asians is not a problem to find. They're already there. And they're grown up all their life, obeying orders, because they're easy to manage already. But for some weird reason, they consider black people as animals. Bill Gates is one of them, and he has had a very, very concerted effort in Africa with his needle getting rid of the black people. And I find this despicable, but that's the fact. So I don't understand why there's any black people that would vote or even support anything coming from the Democratic Party. They're your worst enemy. They just want your vote so they can get in power. After that, they're going to kill you. They don't care. And you have one in the White House right now. He's a flaming racist. And he recently was talking about sports team, and he called them for something that today not even I can say it. I cannot even say that word on here. But it starts with N and it ends with O. That is punishable by law to use that word. But our president used that word several times in his speech. And no one is lifting an eyebrow. Had that happened back in the 70s, early 80s, that will be a black man or several. They will seek to kill him for that. He would have been assassinated on the street walking to his limousine for saying that word. That is how demeaning, how condescending that word is against black people, calling them that. And he did it. And I don't see an outrage anywhere. That's scary. No outrage anywhere for that. This country should be boiling in anger and demand he being prosecuted for racist hate speech. And there would not be a calm day until that has happened. He was removed from office for that alone. But it's business as usual. Not a damn thing is going on. That's downright scary, people. That means that Aldous Huxley, he already was right back then. That people will love their servitude. They will love the propaganda. They will buy into all of it. Through big pharma, propaganda, news outlets, which is not news, is orchestrated information, which is based on nothing but lies. Because when his lips move, he lies. Fact. It's always been like that. He was, and he still is, the father of all lies. And he was a murderer from the beginning. And who are responsible for most people's deaths on this planet? Governments. They are mass murderers. It's not you, it's the governments. But they're working together with all this. You think, oh, they're enemies. No, they're not. They make it seem like they're enemies. For crying out loud, they're all part of the bloody UN. They're all working for the same goal. Hunger Games. That's where they're aiming at. So this idea that they're enemies. There's only two enemies to them on this planet. Three groups. There is the original people of God, the Israelites. Then there is the Christians, and in general, black and white people. They need to die. All of them. All of them. So when you give your vote in 2022, if we even get to that point, I suggest you don't even consider putting your vote on any Democrat, anywhere. Let it be a landslide leaning towards being Republican, being for the country. Send them a clear message. We will not bow down. Enough. We are 99%. You won. We hear about abolish you. You are done. That's what needs to be done. You need to send a clear message peacefully. And should it come to that, fight to last man standing. Seriously. Because they're going to kill you, not one way or the other. You just go along with the program, they're going to kill you. Period. There will not be one single American left alive in this country, according to them and their plans. You're all having a target on your back. Every one of us. Even children. But first the children needs to be molested by the pedophiles, which they are. And then they're being sacrificed to the deities, Molech, Baal, what's his name? The other idiot we just saw a picture of, Baphomet. That kind of stuff. Pure evil. Next slide. And this is the hard fact. When you let communists, aka socialists, take over, this is what you get. 65 million people exterminated in China, 20 million people exterminated in Soviet Union, 2 million people exterminated in Cambodia, 2 million people exterminated in North Korea, 1.7 million exterminated in Africa by Idi Amin in Uganda, 1.5 million in Afghanistan exterminated, 1 million in the communist states of the Eastern Europe exterminated, 1 million in Vietnam exterminated, 150,000 in Latin America exterminated. Because they don't agree with communism. Then they kill them. You either agree with them or you die. Period. There is no in between. There's no gray zones when it comes to communism or fascism, which is still probably the same thing. It's tyranny in the end. It doesn't matter. You either bow down or you die. You probably die anyway because they see that, oh, we too many of you, too many mouths to feed, so let's get rid of a lot of people. Which bring us to the French Revolution, which everybody has been taught was the nobleman's attempt to get justice and liberty in France, because the king in France was so evil. So the Illuminati was created by Adam Weishaupt from Austria, Satanist, and the Jacobins in France was inspired by this Satanist bastard to foment a revolution in France creating artificial food scarcity. Are we seeing something like that going on or going to take place here in the United States of America? Do we see a skyrocketing of prices? Do we see more and more empty shelves? Do we see an increase in fuel prices? Oh, yeah, that's what communists do. Satanists, whatever, they're the same. So they fomented a revolution and they blamed it on the king of France, who loved his people, who was a friend of the people, who actually cared for his people. He was a just king. He was not just, like kings in many places has been, a ruthless ruler that just wanted to have power. No, this guy was actually a guy with empathy and compassion to his people. And then they spread around this lie that Antoinette, his wife, has said, let them eat cake, which were a phrase that has been used 200 years earlier in another incident of not revolution but disturbance in France. They used that because nobody remembered that. It's 200 years ago, and history written back then was not as efficient as history is being written on the internet today, which is only written by the victorious. They're not written by those who lost the battle. That's how it is. So they fomented this revolution, decapitated 13,000 people in Paris for everyone to see. And when they were kind of done, there was around 50,000 people sitting and starving to death in prisons around in the country. They had no food. No one gave them any food, not even orders to drink. They just died of starvation right there. Just whatever. And then they found out, because of this problem that was created by the revolution, we have too many mouths to feed. And at that point in time in France, there was around 13 million people. So they set about to kill off 9 million people. Yeah. And the genocide began. The satanic genocide, because the Jacobins were Satanists, adamant Satanists, and highly inspired by Adam Weishaupt. They only got to kill or exterminate 300,000 people because already there they had so many dead people, and not even the quarries where people were working and chipping off stone for construction of housing and, infrastructure. Those quarries were filled up with dead bodies. Stench was everywhere. And they quickly found out that what they were doing was futile. They will never achieve their goal. And eventually it went away. So that's a lesson learned from that. Even though it's several hundred years ago that happened. It was 1750s, I think. Something around there. But today, it is like this, like, what's his name? Brzezinski said. It is infamous easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. Get my drift? They got stuff. Electronic stuff. Nuclear stuff. They got needle stuff. Gates is highly invested in that. Stuff like that. To kill off people. Swift and easy. There you have it, people. And I think this is the last slide in this. Zoom this shit up. No. Which leads me to something else. which I have to be very careful with how I choose my words. It has long been sought to get patent on the human genome, meaning the human DNA. It has been overruled time and time again because they cannot patent anything that is natural of origin. It is nature. But lo and behold, what happened last year, what's going on now, they now can. So every one of you, you know who I talk about, they now own your body. I hope you can figure out what I'm talking about. If you can't, well, it's okay. Maybe one day you'll understand. And this is reality. This is how they see it. You let one ant stand up to us, and they might all stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. Exactly. And if we ever let them figure out that goes our way of life, it is not about our food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That says it all. Anybody ever seen that movie? If not, I suggest you watch it. Even though it's supposed to be a kid's movie, I'm pretty sure you as an adult will understand. Pretty much don't have any more to say about this other than, you know, God bless you. And if anybody would like to get some more real information, you can go on Brighteon.com and find me under the name Warrior68. And there you will get something that is uncensored, which is factual. And hopefully I have shaken some trees so some monkeys fell off the branches and hit their head and woke up to the fact that those who call themselves leaders or Smartenheimers and hot dogs dressed in white call themselves PhDs, scientists. They do not have your best interest in heart. They want you dead, which I've said to you since 2010. They want to kill you. And they're bloody doing it. And we are 99%. And we are bloody letting it happen. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Think about it. We are so many. We can end this crap in a week. Worldwide in a week. Without even killing anybody. All we need to say, enough. You want food on your table? You get out of office. Because we are the ones who produces what you eat. Get out now. We start over. But It has to go its course. Scriptures are very clear on that. But at least it might give you the chance to reconsider your disposition regarding admit you are a sinner, believe in our Lord, and call his name. For you shall be saved. Because these grasshoppers, as they are, they have only one goal in mind. That is to kill us. Period. Think about it. A reduction of humanity of 95%. That's their goal. 95% of every one of us here needs to die. Because you are the carbon footprint. Their new religion or satanic religion called climate change, which is BS. I know it for a fact it is. But I don't sit in a white cloak. I don't have a PhD. My name is not Mikio Kukuk. So why would anybody believe what I'm saying? Or why would I lie to you? Why would I lie to you about that? It's a hoax. It's a lie. Our trees live off CO2, and it transforms CO2 with water and ultraviolet light in the green corns in the leaves, and that's a process called photosynthesis taking place. And out of that comes oxygen for you and I to breathe. That's the ecological circle when it comes to CO2. CO2 is benefiting us. If there's anything that is a harmful, a very destructive greenhouse gas, that's methane. Methane is 100 times more potent greenhouse gas than CO2 in a period of 10 years. If we released all this methane gas there is in the ground, all of it, you'll be cooked. Not the CO2, the methane. It will turn our world into a thermal bottle, and we all trapped inside it. Because no one gets off Earth. Elon Musk, you dumbass. Going to Mars. We never been there. Good grief. Whatever. There's probably gonna be some who say, oh yeah, we have been there. Prove it, for crying out loud. Prove it. Until then, shut up, please. God don't want us out there. Do you understand that? That's his world. Duh. And he knows what we are. Ooh. We are not exactly the kind of people, except those who believe, that deserves a right to see the universe. You can say what you want. I don't care. No one gets off this planet or outside in deep space. It's not going to happen. Oh yeah, they have. Oh yeah, they have. No, they haven't. All the images you see is shot in a desert somewhere in the United States of America, and then they put a little red filter over it, and then they call it Bloody Mars. Like they have this little drone flying around on the surface of Mars with no atmosphere, meaning there is absolutely no friction with air molecules for a lift of these so-called propellers that is on this so-called drone that they have launched on Mars. Come on. Do an experiment. If you have a vacuum thing, put a bloody freaking rocket inside this aquarium, right? Suck out all the air from it with a vacuum pump, and then have a remote detonation of this rocket. It's just gonna burn its fuel, but it's not moving. It's staying right there because there's no molecules behind it to push against for propulsion. Oh well, I went out. But I hope you get my drift. But you want some more interesting stuff? Go on Warrior68 on Brighteon.com. I think, according to John, my friend, Shadowburn3D, he says that all the links that we put in the description box, except the Patreon and stuff, but anything that leads to someone that can give you some facts that is not in their best interests, they break the link so you can't get to it. Yeah, that's what they do. Because Google and YouTube is our enemy. Unfortunately, they are. It seems like there's nobody in this world sometimes who has a heart, conscience, empathy, and compassion. It's just about take, and while you're taking, you're killing, and you don't give a shit. It's sad. It is sad. We are living in perilous times. It's very sad. It's also a little frightening, but our comfort is our Lord in heaven. He's the only comfort now. But that don't mean we just sit down and wait for the Lord. We got work to do. God bless you.